Okay. So the question, where does child abuse happen? Okay. Your answer should be anywhere. Everywhere, right? That's where it happens. There's not one particular environment or context that we can say, oh, you can exclude that context. Okay? But to be a little more specific about it, in poor, middle-class, well-to-do homes. So we're talking about socioeconomic related stuff, which, even though I'm saying that, I want you to know that families, though, that are in very high stressful environments, and we're going to talk about some of those risk factors, and that are below certain income levels are more at risk of abusing their children. However, we're still seeing that child abuse occurs at all socioeconomic levels overall. Okay, we know that to be true. In any ethnic, cultural, occupational, religious, and age group. So just across the board. You can't dissect one demographic of society and say that, you know, this one, it doesn't happen in that one. It happens in all of them. There's different percentages change, but we do know it happens anywhere and everywhere. In the child's own home or outside of it, in rural areas, suburbs, cities, and involving one or both parents. Okay, but if I were to ask the question, well, where does it happen most frequently, most often? A little bit different question, right? Most often, it happens at home. Okay, the child's home where the child resides. Most often, the abuser is typically known to the child. Most often. Not in every case, but most often. Okay, most often, the abuser is the primary caretaker in the large percentage of the cases. And a caretaker can be a parent, step-parent, relative, babysitter. You know, I may be the mother, but during the day I have this other person take care of the child. And that's the caretaker at that time. Any questions about any of this? Okay. All right. So what I would like you guys to do at this time is to follow the directions here. Pair up with the person next to you. I know some of you are spread apart. But if whatever's easiest for you is to pair up with someone next to you. Maybe JJ and Jan. Yeah. Or Laura. I'm just trying to make sure it's even in the number.
Oh yeah, no. Unless you go this way. Oh, no.
You should have an even amount here. It doesn't matter.
Walk this way.
Oh, well, for a split second, I don't think it's... Okay, so we're going to just, for a few minutes, we're going to take time out for you guys to actually think about this. Generate a list kind of to yourselves. You can even jot it down. You don't have to necessarily be saying it out loud to tell everybody what you're thinking, but you can each be jotting it down. But kind of pairing up with the person next to you, make a list of children whom you think may be at a high risk for being abused, any type of abuse. Just trying to collectively think of all the different types, but just abuse in general. Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to really hear from each of the pairs what you came up with, and it doesn't matter that one group already said that. I want to actually see where some of the commonality occurs, and if it does occur, because that's the expectation too. So why don't we start with Jan and JJ, and so what were some risk factors associated with high-risk children that you guys came up with?
Okay, low economic status, single parent, unemployed boyfriend, let's see, not enough, that's all together, this is the same family, not enough caretaking, appropriate caretaking as far as someone watching the kids.
Okay.
Inappropriate discipline for older children. I felt inappropriate. Another one with kind of neglect issues, letting their kids kind of run fairly free and go, you know, the front door is open and little one's 3 years old and is going in and out. And then they have this big desert backyard with a lot of inappropriate type of junk out
Yeah.
there.
So a safety issue.
Yeah, really, really a lot of that kind of thing going on. And with them also some economic problems and not enough caretaking. You know, there's usually one parent home, not both parents, are almost they kind of tag team, and they're usually tired. They're not watching the kids.
Okay.
Something that Jan said also earlier was children in a home with multiple siblings.
Oh yeah, they both have quite a few kids. And you do, in one of, well, yeah, in one of them especially, you get a lot of caretaking by an older child with younger siblings that sometimes isn't appropriate. And they act very adult-like.
That's right, yeah.
Or they're put in that position
Sure.
to be
Yeah.
adult-like, yeah.
And later on, when they may need therapy, then they're in to see us, and they're parentified, you know, children. So that's what's happened. So that's a lot of responsibility pressed on, like you said, it's not appropriate, and especially if it regularly, that's sort of their role.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys really thought about the families. Well, I know Jen, you know, a lot of your families just came to mind that you're working with. Which definitely you're going to see a list of in terms of high risk, your families up here. Okay, that was great. That was very thorough. Okay. And Veronica, you want to?
I put drug, alcohol abuse parents, speech delayed children, children with disabilities,
Excellent.
unwanted children, foster children, busy, overwhelmed parents, depressed parents, large household size, that's a lot of children too, the education level of parents, custody issues.
That's a lot. And believe me, all the stuff that you guys will say, it's not likely that you'll get any argument on this end. What I'll be showing you is kind of what's in the literature and found, but yeah, you'll find it pretty consistent with what you guys are observing and what you're just thinking intuitively, you know, would be a situation where there'd be more likely of that. Okay, and very good. Thank you, Veronica.
We have a lot on that shared list as well. We also talked about alcoholic parents, those who abuse drugs, postpartum depression. We said that abuse doesn't discriminate between boys and girls. Unplanned pregnancies. Yeah, and maybe young parents, high stress parents, strict and rigid.
Okay. So you guys kind of had a mix of the child and also some parental stuff, which we're going to get into sort of separately, have lists of them. What it is. Okay.
We had single parent home, children with workaholic parents, children that are mentally and physically handicapped, unwanted, unloved, unplanned pregnancies. We had a question mark about chronically latchkey kids that are just constantly on their own. They're being neglected.
Same thing, drug abusers, alcoholics, underachievers, parents who were past victims of abuse, depressed parents or unstable parents, highly stressed parents.
Children with highly authoritarian parents, and children with parents who are too permissive.
Okay, I think all of those. As far as the latchkey, you know, I think they'd have to look at, you know, the age of the child that you're talking about. I know I've always had, you know, issues with parents doing it. I know that sometimes just economically, you know, parents' responses, there's no way around that. And you get some pretty mature, you know, relatively speaking, compared to their norm, you know, 12, 13-year-olds, and I know of parents who have done that type of thing. But I don't know in every case that it would be considered abusive. But you said, yeah, risk, I think, because likely the parent is working a lot. So again, there's that other element of maybe overwhelmed, overworked, that kind of thing. So I think it could potentially be an indicator. Okay.
Okay, we had low income, single parents, disability of the child, the parent having child abuse, neglected, didn't plan to have the child, busyness of the parent. We went also with the latchkey, drug abuse, and then just like kind of like a household that's got heavy traffic going on, and then the parents have some kind of disability, whether it be mental, physical, or whatever it may be.
Okay. So again, you guys touched on both the parent and characteristics of the child. Okay. And the best for last.
We did a lot of the same thing. We talked about developmentally delayed or mental health issues for either the child or the parent. We talked about, you know, whether the child or the parent may have an impairment. And we talked about, a lot about stressors, whether it be financial, multiple children, lack of supervision, lack of involvement.
Okay.
Their different parenting skills, marital issues, so any of those stressors could add to.
Okay.
I just thought of one more too, that I don't think has been mentioned yet. A parent who has been abused.
Yeah.
Or not even a parent, even a sibling. It doesn't have to be an adult necessarily. It can be. Just
So let me, if I'm hearing you
another-
right, Judith, the parent who has a history, so they've been abused themselves. You said that, but then you said sibling?
I would say, yeah, I think that it's not just a parent or an adult who could be a possible abuser, but even an older child
To a young.
to a younger, or just, yeah, I would say generally it would probably be younger, or if there was some other,
Okay.
you know, compromising factor for the child, like
Okay.
all the things we talked about. But I don't think it's limited to adults.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think of someone who has been abused.
Okay, I get that. So that's a little more thinking outside the box there, because we're kind of thinking about the caretaker and reference the child and the environment and all that and characteristics of the child, but actually this isn't someone else within the environment that could potentially, other than the caretaker, like an older sibling, older brother or sister. Okay, possible. Alrighty, well let's take a look at what I have here for high risk. Alright.